Fantastic. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining today. It's a pleasure to welcoming you in this fourth session of the Time Academy that, as you know, it has been funded by the European Commission through the SERP program, and this is part of the activities of the Time for All 2.0 project, and is organized by the local and regional governments time network. On behalf of the network and on behalf of the Time Use Initiative, we are very happy to have you here. And it's very exciting to see the interest that this Time Academy has generated, not just in Europe, in which we have more than 300 participants, but also we have representatives from 36 countries around the world. So again, this shows that the interest of time policies are growing, and every time more and more people wants to know how to implement it and how to use it as a tool to innovate, but also to bring well-being to all our citizens. On this last session, we want today to launch an initial question, okay? And after that, we will continue with the session. So Mark now will launch a question on the screen so you can vote, and then we can know how much we need to do an introduction today or not. The question is, did you participate in the TA? TA means Time Academy during this week. We would like to know if you have participated just in one of the sessions, in two, in three, or no. Today is the first session. If you can please vote. I see more than 38 people voting. We will give 5 seconds more. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And the answers that we can see and we are going to share on the screen are that most of you have been in all the sessions, so not needed to do a big introduction. And then there is 20% that today is the first session. Okay, so thank you for that. We are happy to see that most of you have been with us through the last 4 days. And what we have done in the last 4 days. The first day, what we did is to explain what were time policies. Time policies is to put the time factor in the policy agenda. So every time that we take a decision, we consider which is the impact of that on time. Okay, basically, this is time policies. On that, we have learned in the first session that there is a tool that you can use to know if you have time policies in your city hall or not. Okay, this tool will be sent to all of you after the Time Academy, and you will be able to go through it in your own institution. In the second session, what we analyzed was basically how to evaluate the impact of time policies, because it's not just important to do them, but to know that they are working. And here we saw the amazing example from Bolzano and from Barcelona City Council. And yesterday, we did a session that was how to work on a transversal way of implementing time policies, because they don't depend on only one department, one ministry. They are divided between different ministers, and we learn how to use a time chief officer and different examples on how to work transversally. And today we will look at the time policies from a perspective of one of the most pressuring issues in our cities, that is climate change. What we'll analyze is how the city and metropolis of Rennes in France and the Milano City Council are doing time policies to address these climate change challenges that we have ahead. For doing that, we will present these two cases, And after, as we did all these days, we will use breakout rooms on we can better explore these methodologies, do direct questions to the speakers. And finally, we will come back all together here to do the conclusions of the Time Academy. So please, without further delay, I would like to introduce today to Alice Ricowar, Mission Manager at the Time Chief Officer at the City and Metropolis of Rennes. Welcome, Alice, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you. I share my presentation. Do you see my presentation? Yes?
Yes.
It's okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. Now I'm going to answer the question of peak hours management on the metro in Rennes. So I start with the context. And a map of Rennes, who is located in France, in Brittany. The city has 230,000 citizens, and the metropolis 480,000 citizens in 43 cities. You can see on the map there's two metro lines. The red, it's the A line, and in green, the B line. And the network has 150 bus lines, 8 parks and ride, bike rental service, and car sharing. Now I talk about history, briefly mention the history of Time Office in Rennes. So Time Office has been created in 2002 after the publication of a parliamentary report on urban time by Edmond Hervé. Edmond Hervé was a mayor of Rennes at this time. So the purpose
We are having some technical problems with the connection of Alice. She was saying that Edmond Hervé, one of the mayors in Rennes that introduced time policies in 2002, he did a parliamentary report for the French National Assembly, on the importance of time policies in the city. The idea there was to, I am just explaining, yes, she will be connecting soon. But the idea there let me share the screen, the idea there was to analyze how time policies could be adapted to the urban context, and especially looking at mobility time for all people in the city. That's why I will. That's why they wanted to focus on timetables and maintenance workers, especially women. And from then they. Hi, Alice. Are you with us? Just let us know when you are ready. They wanted to go ahead with time in the city. me. Sorry, apologies for these technical issues.
Mark, I think that we are finding some problems with Elise. So
Maybe
yeah, maybe we can change a bit the order.
yes.
and trying to give the floor to our guest from Milan, if it's correct. Yeah, Mark?
Yes, yes, please.
So it didn't happen the other day, so today that is the last we've had a little problem. Let me introduce then to our next speakers. They are Sergio Daneluzzi, head of support to the international activity of the city of Milan City Hall, and Susanna Moltellini, head of partnership and special projects unit at the Employment, Youth and Sports Division at the Milan City Hall. Welcome, buongiorno, Sergio and Susanna.
Hello, everybody. Now, Susanna will share the presentation shortly. I know you want us to give some brief elements of presentation of the city. So what shall I say about Milano? As you all know, Milano is the most important city in northern Italy, and it is, from an economical point of view, the most important Italian city because of its powerful drive in finance, research, and universities. The city itself has 1.4 million residents. The metropolitan city has 3.2 million residents. But if you consider the wider area that hovers around Milano and is tied to Milano for work and other reasons, that adds up to 7.4 million people gravitating on Milan. Milan receives 900,000 city users every day, so quite a lot of people, and it has a 21% percentage of foreign residents, mostly from non-European countries. This climate and air plan, which we shall be talking about, was decided because Milan has a pollution problem. Milano, as you may know, is in the middle of the Po Plain in northern Italy, surrounded by mountains. We don't frequently have wind, and this actually makes it easier for pollutants to remain hovering over the city. So actions towards climate change are what we needed to do. Let me now proceed with the presentation and trying to trace a short story of what we're doing. Urban time policies, as you may all know, were born in Italy. Pioneers in this growth were women involved in public administration and politics, trade unions, and academia at the end of the 1980s. Some laws gave city mayors the authority to coordinate and harmonize the public and private service schedules in order to facilitate time schedules for people. And municipalities were allowed to implement policies and projects for an easier daily city life. The Milan municipality was among the first in Italy and in Europe to develop urban time policies through a timetables master plan, considering the whole organization of the city. In 2013, the Milan municipality approved a work program for the redefinition of the timetables plan and experimented pilot actions on topics such as work-life balance, public services organization, and accessibility. In 2020, of course, there was the big change of the pandemic. The Milan municipality and local stakeholders discussed the development of new blueprints for the recovery of socio-educational and productive activities which have been stopped or almost stopped by the pandemic. In 2021, the Milan municipality approved adaptation strategies and guidelines for a better organization of times and schedules, with some main recommendations, which I will read to you now. Spread of proximity services, the 15-minute city, and development of digital service. Consolidation of remote working, which really started during the pandemic, but actually increased after the pandemic. Reorganization of a city's schedules and rhythms for the best distribution of mobility demand through the day. Economic revival with environmental transition through development of sustainable mobility. Return to local production, in short, and integrated supply chains. That is the circular economy or proximity economy, which means that you should be able to find all the things you need to buy within 15 minutes walking distance. This approach that the city has tried to implement enables a widespread awareness of the need to harmonize urban times and rhythms in order to improve sustainability and citizen quality of life. A new local framework to support debate and projects on employment opportunities and working conditions. That's the Labor Pact, with the City Hall endorses, a dedicated and collaborative policy for the business and trade union world. New connections with environmental policies in line with the European Green New Deal. Then in 2022, the Milan municipality approves the Piano Aria Clima, which is air and climate plan, a tool for reducing air pollution and responding to the climate emergency, with the goal of protecting health and the environment. The plan's first action is better management of the city's times. A dedicated activity within the Air and Climate Plan has the goal of mapping and promoting practices for a better organization of the city's times. This provides a strategic contribution to the environmental transition process in terms of improving air quality, reducing climate-altering emissions, and reducing climate risks. The first thing to do was mapping of practices activated by the administration, and then discussion with residents through the Permanent Citizen Assembly on Climate, and with the municipalities' departments, all of them, through a cross-department monitoring group. This has allowed to kickstart this procedure. I will now leave the floor to Susanna, who is the expert in the field.
Thank you, Sergio. Good morning, everybody. As Sergio already said, the first step to explore how time policies can positively affect sustainability and decrease our collective carbon footprint has been mapping already existing practices, selected for their relevance on times and schedules and for their positive impacts on the environment. So we've selected these practices in key areas such as employment, proximity economy, citizen services, and mobility. Based on their interaction with time, we've classified practices into 4 categories: proximity and decentralization, multifunctionality, digitalization, and flexibility. For each one, we've considered their potential impact on 3 dimensions already foreseen by the Air and Climate Plan evaluation approach that are mitigation, adaptation, and air quality. Mitigation is referred to the emission reduction. Adaptation is referred to the capability of an action to contain damages due to climate change. And air quality is linked to the presence of pollutant substances in the air. Well, with this framework in mind, we have set up this kind of matrix to have an immediate overview of all mapped practices divided by time dimension, environmental impact, and the key area of interest. Now, let me show some example of these practices divided by time dimension. Talking about proximity, a category strongly connected with the 15-minute city approach, we have, for instance, the decentralization of job search services with 5 new employment hubs all around the city. The boost of civil economy network with new local shops, new manufacturing services, and social cultural spaces. As well as the creation of 57 new pedestrian area, set up, with painted spaces, new benches, plants, ping pong tables, and so on, to have safe and enjoyable meeting points, especially near schools. Boost educational services with extra daily time and summer classes, and the introduction of proximity criteria for admission. And finally, the creation of 30 kilometers per hour streets and zones, especially near schools and residential areas, to promote sustainable mobility and safe spaces. Going on to multifunctionality category, we are talking about one place with multiple functions, such as community hubs. These are 64 places around the city that host, for instance, welfare services, cultural and creative services and initiatives, aggregative opportunities, and so on, for a wide range of population, from children to elderly. And then multi-purpose libraries with extended open time, where you can find, for instance, co-working spaces, stations to print documents and certificates with the IT support, and where you can also find cultural initiatives. In the third category of digitalization, we can find, for instance, the introduction of a single welfare access point. To describe this action, you have to think that before, citizens who need welfare support for different reasons had to rely to different offices and services, and they had to be lucky to find the right one after moving from one to others several times. So with this single access point by a dedicated phone line and a related digital platform, municipality facilitates and supports citizens to have their needs taken in charge. Together with this other example, of digitalization of an entire authorization process in order to reducing wasting time and unproductive travel. In the last category of time flexibility, we have some practices that could finally help work-life balance. Thanks to schools and educational services organization, the boost of remote and near working, first of all for Milan City Hall, and we are talking about more or less 13,000 of employees, and the coordination of companies' mobility managers. So we have found that all these practices enable the reduction of private car use, the reduction of time, the wasting time to reach services, because you can find more services in your neighborhood, the promotion of walking and cycling So not only a more sustainable way to travel in the city, but also another way to live and enjoy city spaces. And the promotion of thermal comfort, offering more spaces as shelters in extreme weather conditions, and the improvement of time quality. So this is our work till now, but the next step in our pathway, thanks to lesson learned, discussion with residents and stakeholders, exchange with other city experiences, will be the promotion of new good practices to go forward. So thank you.
Well, Susana and Sergio, grazie mille. Thank you very, very much. It was a very clear presentation on the actions that you are doing to face this climate change and how time policies, not just in the time flexibility category, but in each of them, no, can be a very useful tool for that. I think that was extremely useful. Thank you very much. As we said, now we are going to listen to the case of Rennes, and then we will open the breakout rooms to make sure that people can make you questions, because for sure there are many of this very interesting experience. I see that Alice is with us again. Hello, Alice. I'm not sure if she fell again. Maybe they are having some difficulties, problems, but we have a plan B, as always in life. So for now, our plan B will be our very useful Marc Martorell, who will be presenting the case of Rennes. Last year, Marc Martorell, together with the Barcelona metropolitan area, they worked together on analyzing what the different metropolis of Europe were doing. And one of the policies that they studied was the metropolis of Rennes. So Marc, based on this experience, I will ask if you could explain us the experience of Rennes, and then we will make sure that in the breakout rooms there is someone from France that can answer if there are more questions. Marc, the floor is all yours.
Yes. Thank you, Marta, and apologies all for the technical issues. If you have any specific question, maybe we can send us later to Alice. But meanwhile, I will try to explain everything from that side. And as I have also her presentation just for this, in case anything happened, let me share it again now without anything. She was saying that Rennes had a project on dealing with peak hours in the metro, specifically in the metro of Rennes. I will just skip a bit the introduction, as it, just for you to know, Rennes has a time office. If you remember yesterday, we touched what a time office and a time chief officer is. It's basically an office within the municipality, in this case also the metropolis, coordinating all time policies from public policy implementation and also evaluation and data analysis. They are composed by two officers that answer to two elected representatives, one for the municipality of Rennes and one for the metropolitan area of Rennes. So the two elected representatives represent either the Ville de Rennes and the Métropole de Rennes. So the basic three objectives they have as a time office is promoting gender equality and social equality, making the area more fluid, and in this case will demonstrate how, and acting in favor of ecological and social transition. This particular policy of coordinating the metro and the rush hour in line A in Rennes was specifically in this metro line that basically goes around university areas and secondary schools. What they found is that there is a specifically rush hour happening, congestion of people using the metro between 7:40 and 8 o'clock in the morning. And there were always technical solutions that probably you are familiar with, because it's the technical solutions that are always being proposed in all cities and metros specifically, increasing frequency of service, purchasing new trains, reconfiguring trains to increase the number of passengers that they carry, but the total cost of that would be increasing the municipal cost in 30 million euros. So they proposed an alternative solution. They, as Time Office, proposed an alternative solution implemented in a period of 4 years. In collaboration with the Mobility and Transport Department of French City and Metropolis, and also the operator of the metro, Keolis, they worked together to develop a kind of rush hour management. They began having a field analysis on identifying the different time generators. That means the different stakeholders that affect schedules in the region and in the metro line specifically. What structures and which structures affect the different schedules and timetables, which ones generate greater flows of traffic at the specific times, what ticketing data they have to analyze such impact, how passenger counts were dealt with, and obviously they had some agents on the field to actually see if that was happening or not in the metro. Then, as it was not only dealt with data and the evidence from the conceived from the Time Office, they also began a consultation process with the different time generators in the metro line. As I said, it was basically the University of Rennes, but there were also major secondary schools and a hospital, a big hospital there, and they analyzed how they can include them to develop better, to manage better the rush hour, especially at the metro station, and how passengers affect in that station. For that, they also include a timetable system to see the impact of individual schedules. So individual decisions from me going as a passenger there and entering my classes at 8 would means to choose a train at 7:40 or 7:39. So they wanted to make the individual choices a collective choice, and therefore they also began speaking with university catering service, involving different student representatives and associations, and the whole community in the consultation process. In 2012, they began with an experiment there as the new academic year began, and they changed slightly the beginning of classes in undergraduate degrees and master degrees at 8:15, and then some student degrees at 8:30, which meant at the same time that these around 15,000 students would be changing their individual schedules to adapt to the new class schedules. They also proposed to signing a charter, an agreement between the different time generators or stakeholders, for each to let the others know if there would be new changes in schedules. So they would be able to inform everyone in order for everyone also to be prepared, adapting to the new schedules. And what they found is that this kind of making the time problem a collective issue was working. Right from the start of the experiment, the rush hour was smoothed out, with improving the metro service and the quality of life of students in particular. The strength of the approach relies on the fact that, as I said, collective interests are taken into account in decision that is usually based on individual choices. And basically, the results were a 17% reduction in the average train load between the most congested stations, especially those around university areas or secondary schools. 5% of reduction in metro flows at morning peak times, and obviously the 30 million euros saved that were involved in not creating more, buying more trains, basically. Then now they just opened a second metro line in 2022, and they are experiencing the same, more or less the same issues. In this case, the rush hour is double at between 7:30 and 8 a.m. and between 8 a.m. and 9 in the morning. It was the same situation, so they also tried to implement the same solution dealing with rush hours. In this case, there are also universities in the area and 18 schools. So they implemented trying to also propose new partnership between the different time generators or time stakeholders. What they saw is that on the basis of the diagnostics, they identified specific peaks and collective targets. So everyone, also all stakeholders, could inform each other. They limited the number of trains of passengers per train to 160. They reduced some of the availability of services, but including new passenger. As you can see, probably these particular questions could be directed specifically to Alice, as I am not particularly familiar with this second case. But there are what they saw is that some observations, the two different peak hours that I already explained, and one way of smoothing out these two peaks would be to shift part of the load to the second peak. So the first peak should be also going to the second one to optimize the gap. Then it began a consultation process with all the academic bodies, local authorities, secondary schools, and the university. And 59 scenarios were developed and modeled to find a temporal solution, solution in time, that is. Then they developed a first experiment in 3 secondary schools actually, it's not yet launched. It will be launched on the 1st of September this year, but with the same idea of having this time shift scenario and an agreement and the signature of a charter between the different stakeholders during August. So they also will need to inform each other of any additional modification in schedules. Then they will be analyzing it, how it is developed in 2026. I hope you could learn a bit about the Rennes case, hoping also that if in case you have any particular question that I haven't not covered, you can direct it to probably us, and then we will redirect it to Alice. So, but before going to the different breakout rooms, we have 2 particular questions. After what you have heard, do you have or can you come out with any specific or similar policies to the one that Milan has explained related with time and climate? Do you use time policies for climate action as part of a city plan or in any other adaptation plan, maybe?
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much, Mark, for this brilliant presentation that Renz has prepared, and you have very well explained it. I think that it's impressive to see it, how using the time policies, not investing more on infrastructure, but just analyzing the flows of the people, you can reduce 30 millions of euros of your city and improve the quality of the citizens, because the rush hour, the time for the rush hour is going down. Thank you very much. Mark, you were making this question now on the screen regarding the case of Milano. And what we can see is the results is that most of you, 70% of the participants of today, you didn't know in your city similar plans like La Milano has presented, the plan related to have a city plan for climate change and climate adaptation and mitigation, to use this using through time policies. So I guess that is something innovative. There is 33% of the participants that they know, but most of you didn't know. So that's very good. Now we will ask a very similar question regarding rents. So please, if you can look at the screen. In the screen, what we will be seeing is the following question, that it will be a similar question. The similar question for rents is, do you know any similar practice as the ones that rents are using, like managing the rush hour, not by increasing the number of trains, not by increasing the number of lines, but using time policies to analyze these flows and moving the different times of the city? I see some answers. If the rest of you can vote, what we can see is let me see that the last ones that you are voting, are changing a bit. Okay, so again, the similar result. Almost 70% of the people that are participating today, they don't know that in their city they use time policies to reduce the time, the rush hour, and 30% of you, yes. So I think that what we wanted to show today basically is this innovation, how you can use the glasses of time policies to look for different solutions. And the most important thing in a time where budget is very important, and I know that in certain institutions that you are present today, there are budget limitations, you can see how using time policies doesn't need such a big budget to make such a difference. No? So it's important to introduce that. Colleagues, thank you very much. And again, special thanks to Marc Martorell, that has jumped into the presentation and has explained it very clearly. And especially a special thank you to Sergio and Susana, that they had explained this important action plan